About a week ago, I reached out to the community and asked you guys what you think is the current meta in Hogs of War when it comes to team composition. Now, I probably should have specified that I was primarily talking about single player, but regardless, the results are quite interesting. From looking at speedruns and playthroughs, I had assumed that the results would mainly involve the engineer class, but I was pleasantly surprised by the answers that you guys gave me. At the time of writing this, 42% of you voted for using an equal combination of all four classes, 25% of you had a heavier focus on the heavy weapons and engineer class, 9% of you had a heavier focus on just the engineer class, and 11% had a heavier focus on the medic and espionage class. Meanwhile, 14% of you voted for the other category, which saw some interesting strategies to say the least. Now, for those who may not know, the term meta stands for most effective tactics available. Now, I'm focusing on the actual lineup of the team here, seeing as we have four classes to choose from, being that of the heavy weapons class, the engineer class, the medic class, and the espionage class. You could talk about the exact meta strategies that we tend to see in each mission, but I feel like that would take way too long. So in regards to the single player campaign, my own personal team composition usually consists of 2 heavy weapons pigs, 1 engineer class pig, 1 medical class pig, and 1 espionage pig. If I were looking to complete a speed run, my focus would switch to the engineer class, who, as many of you guys know, is incredibly strong at close range and can easily dispatch a lot of the low health classes in the earlier stages of the campaign. Now, that's not to say that the use of healing or espionage isn't useful, but it tends to take a back seat if you're looking to complete the game quickly. In previous videos, I've talked about how I would define each class, with the heavy weapons and engineer classes being placed in the offensive category, the espionage class in the defensive category, and the medic class somewhere in the middle. One common thing I've noticed that seems to stop players in the community from using the heavy weapons class more often is the fact that their aim just kind of sucks. It's not a criticism, as ultimately it takes practice and even more practice to understand the power gauge system for the bazooka and the mortar. I had previously made a video discussing the mortar and how to use it effectively, so if you're interested in knowing more about it, then do check it out. It should be somewhere on the screen right about now. So what would I say is the meta for the single player campaign within Hogs of War? Well, you see, one of the things I love about this game is the endless ways in which you're able to complete the campaign, or specific missions, or specific shots. Hogs offers multiple methods of progression, and if I'm honest, I don't actually think the single player campaign necessarily needs a meta. Unless you're focusing on speedrunning, I encourage the more unorthodox strategies that players tend to develop, like playing through the campaign with a full team of medics or spies, or even grunts. But okay, fine, if I really must answer this question, then I would have to say that the current single player meta consists of 1 heavy weapons pig, 2 engineer pigs, 1 medic pig, and 1 espionage pig. The reason for this lineup is simple. The engineer goes... You've got the attacking range from the heavy weapons and espionage pigs, the close range high damage output from the engineer class, and the healing capabilities from the medic. It's honestly that simple. You could look at it from other angles, such as the objectives on different missions, or how certain classes may perform better consistently on certain missions compared to others, but really what I want to say at the end of this video is that despite what we may call the meta, it should never change your own playstyle or affect how much you enjoy playing through the campaign. I think once you label a method of play as being the most effective tactic available, it takes away from other unorthodox strategies that may be available to you. What I'm trying to say is that you should always play through the campaign in a way that you feel most comfortable with. I mean, you can try out new lineups, try out the so-called meta team composition strategies, but really, as long as you're having fun and enjoying the game, then that's all that matters to me. So get out there, have some fun.
Fight! Win! And call me when you get back, darling. I enjoy our visits.
I'm going. I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going. 'Cause destination